Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for joining Japan Fair and joining us. It's so pleasure to present this to you today. My name is Kei Nishida, and first of all, thank you so much for everyone at Japan Fair to make this happen. It's a lot of logistic that has to happen to make this happen, and I thank everyone from the Japan Fair to make this fun and fun. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm so pleased to be here and presenting today how to brew tasty Japanese coffee and Japanese tea. So I have a lot I want to cover, so let me get started. And there are a couple of things that I want to mention at the beginning. So first of all, welcome to Japan Fair. Please turn off the camera and mute, and no recording is allowed. We will be recording this session, just to let you know, and Japan Fair will upload this video on the Japan Fair YouTube so that, if you miss something, don't worry, you're gonna have a recording of this one. Okay, so you don't have to record, no camera needed. If you're in pajama, good, enjoy. And if you have any questions, you can chat, but I will not be answering, or I don't think I have a capability to be able to answer and present at the same time. So I'll keep all the questions, and I will try to answer at the last 5 minutes, okay? So you can chat, and then, yeah, that's just what it is. And today I will be covering first 20 minutes, how to brew tasty Japanese coffee. And after that, 20 minutes, how to brew tasty Japanese tea. And at the end, I will be showing, I will be answering the question for 5 minutes. That is the plan. And let me quickly introduce myself. If you don't know, my name is Kei Nishida. I'm originally from Japan. I live in Portland, USA. And we run Japanese green tea company, which has been running for years. And we just started Japanese coffee company 2 months ago. It's a new company. And we are the first one to introduce Japanese sumiyaki coffee. So that's the quick introduction. And I want to get to the presentation so that I can show you what you can do to make a tasty Japanese coffee and tasty Japanese tea today, okay? All right, so all of you, everyone, welcome. So how many of you like Japanese tea? Okay. How many of you like Japanese coffee? Okay, well, you're wondering, you're not supposed to see me, right? Well, yeah, I wanted to do this. Oh, I just wanted to do this. Sorry about that. Okay, so my goal today is for those of you who like Japanese tea, I want to make you like Japanese coffee. For those of you who like Japanese coffee, I want to make you like Japanese tea. So either you're a tea person or coffee person, please stick around and I will try to show you as much as possible to enjoy Japanese coffee and Japanese tea. That's my goal today. All right. Okay, let's go. Okay, so what is Japanese coffee? Okay, coffee is not from Japan, right? So what is Japanese coffee? The Japanese coffee actually originated in 850 CE in Kingdom of Sorghum, which is the current location for Ethiopia and Yemen. That's where the original coffee, at least the written version of what coffee is coming from. And that's where the coffee is believed to be coming from. But the first introduction of the coffee to Japan is in the 17th century, which is, if you are familiar with Japanese history, it is in the Edo era. and they got the coffee in the Nagasaki. And during the Edo era, you know that Japan closed up from the world, and the only two ports are open, and Nagasaki was one of them. And that was the first introduction to coffee to Japan. Now, truthfully, that was the first one, but the coffee boomed after 1945 and in Japan, and that is where the Japan actually got the coffee. So historically speaking, Japanese coffee does not have that much of a history. So what is Japanese coffee? And Japan does not produce coffee either, except for small farms in Nagasaki. The coffee grows in tropical weather. It's called coffee belt. And only in those tropical areas you can grow. So Japan doesn't produce coffee, and Japan didn't have coffee until 17th century. So what is Japanese coffee? This is my personal opinion, and some people get mad at me, but I think Japanese people make things, borrow things from others and make it better, like TV or like a car. Coffee is like that too, to me. I think Japan did quite a few things that make the coffee good. And I want to show you a couple of examples of those Japanese coffee that evolved only in Japan, and now it's popular throughout the world, maybe. First of all, canned coffee. I know, canned coffee. Oh. It goes to, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yep, you're not supposed to see it. So canned coffee, you probably know that Pokka is a vending machine coffee company. And we meaning Japanese people, were the first to make a canned coffee through vending machine. And that is still popular now in Japan. I think a lot of you have been to Japan, or you are from Japan, and canned coffee is everywhere, right? That is unique, originated from Japan. Cold brew coffee actually originated from Japan too. There is a difference between cold brew and iced coffee. And the cold brew meaning that in a nutshell, you keep the coffee in the water and refrigerate it and take it out. That's cold brew in a nutshell. Iced coffee is you brew coffee and then pour it over ice. That is iced coffee. And both of them actually come from Japan. That's surprising, right? And there are a couple of others that I want to show you that you might be familiar with. That is Japanese. And I'll do it very quickly here. All right. So have you seen this? This is a device called nail drip, and it has a close in it, and it has a glassware, and it's called nail drip coffee. And this is actually a Japanese invention as well. And this one particular is from Hario. And I'll be mentioning about Hario a couple of times during this presentation, but you put coffee in here and then you pour over. And this nail drip actually tastes really good. This is from Japan. Another type of coffee which I want to show you is single pour over coffee. What is this? It's just a package, right? And I will show you. If you've been to Japan, a convenience store, this is available, but somehow it's not available in US and around the world. And I want to show you what it is. So I have a cup. You open this up. I'll try to be quick. We have 45 minutes and I want to cover a lot. So this is how it looks. And okay. And then you tear this out. And look at this. This is the actual ground coffee. And one filter in it, and you put over the cup and you pour hot water and you have yourself a good cup of coffee. And surprisingly, this is not available a lot. We do sell it at our company, but online also. But this is a Japanese invention. It's a lot better than instant coffee that you find everywhere. But you know, I bring it to travel and stuff because it's just tastes better, and all you need is a hot water and a cup. So when you travel, this is a good one, and this is another Japanese invention. And what we are specializing on is this sumiyaki coffee. And let me tell you what sumiyaki coffee is. This is Japanese. And sumiyaki, if you're familiar, is charcoal roasted. So we roast the coffee using charcoal. It looks exactly like any other coffee that you have seen. And this is how actually coffee bean looks like. It's called green bean, and it actually smells kind of like grass. It doesn't smell anything like a coffee like this one. This is seed of a cherry of a coffee tree. And you have to roast this with heat. When you heat this and roast it, it becomes this. And when you roast with, most of the time it's being roasted with gas or electric, like people who do home brewing do electric, and most of the roaster in the US and around the world use gas. What differentiates the sumiyaki is that we use charcoal. And if you know sumiyaki, like yakiniku or yakitori, the sumi makes the burns different from gas, and it has less hydrogen, and it makes the things crisp, and it cooks differently. And that's what differentiates the sumiyaki coffee from other coffee that you find. So as I mentioned, coffee is originally from different places like Indonesia, Ethiopia, and coffee belt region, but roasted in Japan with sumi is sumiyaki coffee, which is Japanese. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So these are the type of Japanese coffee that I showed you. And I will go into brewing how to taste a good Japanese coffee. And this is something you have never heard. Coffee is miso soup. You're like, what? What do you mean? Right? Okay. I should have said coffee is like miso soup. So my background is tea. As you know, I have been running the Japanese green tea company for a while, and I have been recently learning coffee since we started the Japanese coffee company and preparing some of it. And I was trying to learn the coffee from the beginner's perspective. And I'm like, man, everyone is saying different things. I'm so confused. And then I realized, you know, it's kind of like miso soup, right? If you ask Japanese people, okay, how to make miso soup? Everyone will tell you a different recipe. Every family, every region have a different way of making it. I interpret coffee like that. So everyone might have a different way of making coffee, and that's all right. Everyone has a different taste. And I will try to show you what I think is good. But what I want you to do is take what you like, and what's most important is that you enjoy your coffee. What tastes the best for you is the best coffee. And I want to help you that journey as much as possible. All right. So how to brew tasty coffee? The key word is consistency. And I will say this a few times during this presentation. And if you remember this, you can make a good cup of coffee. Okay, so the first thing, very elementary, but a lot of people miss it, including myself, I didn't know. I want to show you something. So this is the coffee that you have seen, right? And the coffee that you may see from the store might look like this, right? It's a powder form. So you have seen that, okay, we roast this becomes this, and that becomes this, right? So that's the 3 steps of the coffee: roasting, and this step from this to this is called grinding, okay? And a lot of people do it wrong, including myself before I learned about it. And this is very, very crucial to making a good cup of coffee. And it's elementary for a lot of people, so I'll try to go quickly, but how you grind will determine a lot of how the coffee will taste. So if you grind well, it will taste better. And the reason is coffee, so I'll tell you what not to do. And I used to do this earlier. This is a common coffee grinder, you know, and you might have in your kitchen, right? So there is a blade and you grind. And people might say that, okay, I grind my own coffee and it tastes good. This is the biggest mistake. I didn't know it either. Okay, the reason is when you grind this coffee using this coffee grinder, what happens is you can imagine some piece is a small piece and some piece is a large piece, right? And what makes the coffee taste good or what makes the coffee taste bad is exposing the coffee to too much hot water. So as you brew the coffee, first initial part is good, but then after that, it becomes very bitter. And then a lot of bad taste comes out at the end. So when you grind the coffee using a home grinding like spice grinding like this, some of the coffee are smaller pieces and some are large. What happens with that is that the smaller pieces will get too much exposure to the hot water and it creates bad taste. So by using this, you will have a different sizes of a coffee bean that is exposed in a different level. It's not consistent. So this is the biggest mistake you will make to creating a good cup of coffee. And so, okay, so how do I do it right way? And one way is to have something like this. And you're like, oh yeah, right, that's expensive. This is what you see in the coffee shop, and it's called burr grinder, B-U-R-R, burr grinder. And it's expensive, but what it does is it creates a consistent grind, okay? But this could be, if you want the coffee to taste good, this could be the biggest investment, but there are other options as well. And that is a hand grinding coffee. Okay, this is surprisingly, this one is again Hario, and this one is surprisingly good. So it takes a lot of time, but you can get it in the $30 or something. And it's the mechanism, right? It's the same exact mechanism. That electric one that I just showed you is doing the same thing as this one. So this creates a consistent grinding, or it's okay. Ask your local coffee shop, or if you buy from our site, we have an option to have a grinded on a particular level. So ask the coffee shop to grind it for you. Trust me, it tastes a lot better. So that's the biggest mistake that I wanted to ask and share with you. And I want to introduce few ways to make your coffee taste better using the coffee machine you have. Okay, and you probably have auto coffee machine where you put the coffee and then you turn on the switch and it tastes, you get the coffee. There are a few tricks that I want to share that will make that taste better and surprisingly better. All right, this is a coffee machine. This one particular one is called a Mocha Master. It's a European one, but I'm gonna share the tips that makes your coffee taste better for any coffee machine. Okay. Where did it go? Here. Okay. So you saw this one. Easy way to make it taste good is shake it. Yes, shake it. Why? Okay, remember the consistency? When you pour the coffee and it's like a mountain, then what happens is some part of it hits more water than the other. It's not consistent. Some part will be exposed to hot water more than the less. So shake it and then make it flat as possible. Just that one step make your coffee taste much better. Trust me. All right. So another secret that I want to tell you is this. I believe every participant on the Japan Fair has one of these, and you know what it is? Chopsticks. How do you make your coffee taste good with chopsticks? I'll show you. Don't tell your mom about this. You use the chopstick, one of them, use this side and stir them when it's coming in. And I'll tell you why, okay? So once you turn on the coffee machine, wait for the hot water to come out. And after coming out about 20 seconds to 1 minute, you stir them. And what that does is, again, consistency. It will make all the coffee to expose to the same level of hot water so that it will taste good. Okay, so, and then the reason why I don't use this side and I use this side is this will tear up the paper. So this way, you know, it doesn't tear up the paper. And if you watch like a barista championship, and then they do the pour over, you know, they wear those nice, you know, tie and stuff, and they do this. The reason is the first part that exposed the hot water, it creates a carbon dioxide. And if you look carefully, they will be stirring first and then wait. And then they will pour more water. The reason is that carbon dioxide that gets emitted initially will make your coffee taste bad. So by stirring it initially, we'll do the same thing even with the coffee machine, and it will taste the coffee very good. So that's the secret that I wanted to show you. All right, what other things can you do to make your coffee taste better? Okay, I have 22 more minutes. I'll try to go quickly. I'm sorry, I want to cover so much stuff. Okay, use filter water, not distilled water. So people who are familiar with tea, they want as much as of a soft water as possible. Soft water meaning the less mineral. Hard water meaning hard mineral. Depending on the area you live, the water could be hard water or soft water. Most of the Northwest US is a soft water. In the tea world, you want as soft as possible, meaning that less mineral in the water. But coffee is a little different. Coffee, you want somewhere in the middle. So you don't want it too hard, you don't want it too soft. The reason is that mineral actually binds with the coffee chemical and it makes it taste better. So the best is like what you see on the back here, the refrigerator filter or just a filter of the water. That is the best water to use. You don't need the Evian or, you know, the soft water softener like a tea. Just the regular filter is what you want. And use cold water for the automated coffee machine. most of the coffee machines are programmed in a way to make the temperature better with the cold water. So you want to use cold water. And don't use the timer or the burner. Timer is, you set it at night and you wake up in the morning with the smell of coffee. Sounds good, but that makes the water to the room temperature, which doesn't actually make it coffee taste good. And burner is the biggest killer. Yeah, I want to drink the coffee after 2 hours working, but it just exposing the coffee more longer to the hot water is a bad recipe. It just tastes bad. So don't, if possible, if you want a good cup of coffee, don't use the timer or don't use the burner. And this one, I cannot do it myself because I want the, first thing I want is fresh cup of tea or coffee in the morning, and I don't have a patience to do this. But you run empty cycle once in an automated coffee machine that cleans up the residual from the last night and then warms up the coffee, and it just makes the taste better. But if you have patience to do that, you do. And the myth between the paper filter or the metal filter, I want to quickly cover this part, which is a question that we get often. So this is a metal filter for the coffee machine, right? And this is paper filter. Which one is better? Up to you. Yeah, that's the answer, up to you. So the difference between these two is this one, of course, eventually will be cheaper because you can just wash it. But other than that, paper filter will absorb the oil in the coffee. The metal doesn't. What that means is that if you like a crisp, clean taste of a coffee, this is better. It absorbs the oil and then it tastes clean. But if you want heavy body coffee, you prefer more of the thickness, then this tastes better. So you can explore what you like. And depending on what you like, you can pick the one that you want. I just wanted to cover that. Let me go back to the presentation. All right. Now, people talk about golden ratio. I'll be quick on this one. So how much coffee do I put in and how much water do I put? The well-known version is 1 to 15. So 1 gram of coffee to 15 grams of coffee, which means that it's about 2 tablespoons of a ground coffee for every 6 ounces of water. And yeah, you want to follow most of the time, but it might make it a little dark. And one of the things that makes your cup of coffee taste better is to, instead of using a measuring cup, use these scale. And it's just because of the difference between volume and the actual scale. Volume just tastes, it will make it taste better, and you can try it out. And if you are choosing a scale, again, Hario comes up. Hario scale is what I just showed you, is my personal favorite. You want to look for a precision of 0.1 gram. That is standard for the coffee, whereas the cooking measure usually goes up to 1 gram. So the Hario scale that I showed you is about $50 or so. But because it's very precise, the coffee is very precise, you want to look for the scale for 0.1 gram precision. So that's just one tip if you're looking for good scale for coffee. Now, I personally like American coffee. Japanese people say this American coffee a lot. American people are like, what? Americano. Americano is espresso with hot water. I personally like light coffee. And if you do, the best way to do is add hot water instead of putting more hot water in the coffee machine. So you want to follow the same golden ratio, 1 to 15, and it'll be dark if you like American coffee. But instead of adding more water in the coffee machine, if you add hot water, it tastes better. hot water to the coffee, not to the grind. Remember the consistency? You expose more to the hot water, it tastes bad, right? So you brew correctly using the golden ratio. And if it's too dark for you, add hot water at the end. That just makes a better coffee, American coffee. All right, the more coffee tip to make it taste better. Okay, that's the same presentation. Sorry. Okay, so that's all I've got for the coffee side. We have 15 more minutes for the tea. I'm sorry I'm rushing through, but I want to go through the tea side more, how to make your tea taste better. And I want to quickly go through what is tea? What is tea? Because if you want to make a good tea, you have to know what are different type of tea. There are differences between the tea and you brew it differently, right? So what is tea? You might have seen the published video the Japan Fair has posted for us about the differences between the black tea and then oolong tea, and then all the tea are the same actually. It's called Camellia sinensis plant, which you can see here, right here. It's called Camellia sinensis, and all the tea are from here. The exceptions are like herbal tea, like those sleep well tea, chamomile tea. Those they call it tea, but technically they're not tea because it's not Camellia sinensis. Mugicha, which is my favorite for summer, is a barley tea, but it's not tea, it's a barley. You just steep them. So technically speaking, that is not tea. So considering tea, let's quickly talk about the difference between Chinese or non-Japanese tea to Japanese tea. Again, tea is not originated from Japan. It comes from China. There's a debate between comes from Japan, China or India, but it's not from Japan. And we from Japan, Japanese got the tea in the 9th century. And European got a little later, and European tea is like a black tea. Why is it black? It's a fermented tea. And what's believed that, okay, the people back then traveled on the Silk Road from China all the way to Europe. And at that time, by carrying the tea, it just got fermented. And that's why European tea are fermented tea, and it's coming from the same tea plant. I'll be very quick about this because I want to show you more, but there are differences in tea. So this is a tea leaf, and if you use this portion, like the tea leaf, it's used for the Sencha, Matcha, Gyokuro, which I'm going to go through a little later. And this part, stem part, is called kukicha. And then the new leaf is called mecha. So they are based on the part of the tea. Tea could be different type. And you might have heard about ichibancha. What is ichibancha, Shincha? Tea is cropped for the 3 seasons, spring, summer, and autumn, and don't crop in the winter. So what happens is, based on the season, it can be a different tea. And you might have heard that ichibancha or new tea, Sencha, 88cha, 88th day, 88th day. Those are the best because what happens is during the winter, it stores all the chemical element in the tea leaf, and in the springtime, when we first crop them, all that stored element comes out. So you can have ichibancha, kukicha. You can have ichibancha, sencha. So the first crop just means ichibancha, and then depending on the part, there are different tea there. All right. It also depends on the roasted or steamed as well, and also based on the region and so forth. So it sounds very confusing, but I'll show you a couple of major ones that you might have seen often. Okay, so this is loose leaf tea, right? And then loose leaf green tea And you probably have seen something like this hojicha roasted. So this is steamed, whereas this is roasted. So after the tea is picked and we steam tea, this is often Japanese sencha tea. And then this is roasted, it's hojicha tea. Okay, so it's just a different tea. And hojicha tea has a less caffeine, so people who don't, who don't want to stay up late, this is a good tea for that. Another one you might have seen, genmai cha. It's just the sencha with genmai added. It's genmai cha. It's easy for stomach because of less portion of the tea, and it's tastes good. And you probably heard, what is matcha? This is matcha. And I will be showing few recipe out of this, and I'm running out of time, but yeah. So by powdering this, it becomes matcha? No, it's not. There's a little difference between powdering. You see here in this picture, we are covering the tea leaf. And what that does, before harvesting, we cover the tea. And it makes the tea leaf hungry for the sun and produces a different chemical. And the result of it, you see this picture here, the right side is a covered tea and the left side is uncovered tea. So this kind of covered tea is used to make the matcha. And you might have heard Gyokuro is a loose leaf version of it, although there is a little difference between, for the matcha, you would be using a stone grind to grind them. And I'm not going to go into too much, but it is covered tea. Doesn't mean that if you grind the sencha, it's called konacha or hunmatcha, and that's the kind of tea that you see in a Japanese sushi restaurant in Japan especially, and that's supposed to go well with the taste of the raw fish, and sushi restaurant often has that. That is konacha, which if you taste it, it's a little different from the matcha. All right, so this is a diagram. Everything is camellias analysis. It's either heated, oxidized. If it's oxidized, like a pu'er tea, oolong tea, black tea, those are oxidized tea. And if it's heated, it's called ryokucha. Chinese style is pan-fried, is a hojicha or Chinese style. Japanese often do the steaming, and even steaming, either covered or non-covered, it's a different type of tea. If it's covered, kabusecha, gyokuro, tencha, matcha. Matcha is a stone grind, these are loose leaf. Those are the covered tea. If it's non-covered, it's called sencha, and they have a different sencha version as well, right? So that's just a quick diagram of the tea. Now I have 7 minutes and I'm very sorry. I want to show you quickly how to make your tea. So I will cover matcha, which is a very popular. Okay, so you want to use both. Okay, and right, you would be adding matcha. It just looks better with this, but you can use the Hario scale. You add about 3 of this or 5 grams of this with about 40 milliliter of the hot water. This is matcha, not loose leaf. Okay. And you may have seen this is a bamboo whisk. You can do it with a chopstick too. It just makes it a former, and then you would be whisking like this. W shape, W. You write the W. Okay. And this is very quick version. There's a deep history, and people who know tea would get mad at me that I'm just doing it so quickly. There's so much history and the tradition that I'm not gonna go into, but this is a quick way. And this is matcha. Okay, and what I want to show you is a couple of non-Japanese way, but it tastes so good. Okay, so what you can do with this? Okay, so you can drink this the way it is. It's very healthy, but add this to milk, hot milk, and you use honey or agave syrup is my personal favorite. Add that and you have yourself a matcha latte. Yeah, it's that easy. Steamed milk or just microwave your milk, this matcha that you just made or whisked, and you have yourself a quick matcha latte. How's that? Japanese people are saying, oh man, this guy, sorry. Okay, matcha ice cream, how's that? Right now it's so hot here in Seattle and Portland. You just add this to the ice cream because the matcha actually is quite bitter in taste. It just tastes good. And all you do is you add this to the ice cream. My personal favorite is vanilla ice cream. Häagen-Dazs vanilla bean. Häagen-Dazs has vanilla and vanilla bean. Vanilla bean tastes better with matcha. So you have yourself a matcha a la mode. A la mode is a French and it just sounds better, right? And you add this or the powder in the smoothie. You add the ice in the blender and add fruit and you can have smoothie. We do have a blog post in the YouTube video of how we do this, which you can refer. And I'm sorry, I rushed through the last few minutes because we are getting to the end of the session and I want to answer a few questions. I'm so sorry, I am butchering this to go quickly. So I want to answer, but I have 3 minutes. I'm very sorry. So what you see this JapaneseCoffeeCo.com/Japan Fair or JapaneseGreenTea.com/Japan Fair. If you go to this link, you can enter, let's go here. It will come to like a screen like this and you can enter your email and this is free. You can subscribe at any time and I will answer all the questions in email in next couple of days if you sign up here. I'm sorry that I'm not able to answer all the questions, but we are giving also a free ebook, Coffee Science, 12 Scientific Tips for Brewing Coffee. I wrote that. You can have that soft copy of it if you sign up. And tea version, if you are a tea person or if you're a coffee person, and if you convert it to tea person this time, you can go to JapaneseGreenTea.com/Japan Fair and you will get a green tea version of that book. Okay, that's a wrong link, but anyway, here is the links. JapaneseCoffeeCo.com/Japan Fair, JapaneseGreenTea.com, so JapaneseGreenTeaIn.com. I'm very sorry, JapaneseGreenTeaIn.com. Oh my gosh, I cannot even spell my own website. /Japan Fair. There. Yep. So you get green tea science, 12 scientific tip, and matcha lovers 21st century recipe collection. You're gonna get that as well for the green tea side. So please sign up and I will answer all the questions in the email. I'm sorry, I have 1.5 minutes. I'm sorry, I cannot answer any questions. Oh my goodness. Trying to go through the chat here. Oh wow. Sorry. Yeah, I will answer all the questions. I have 1 more minute to go. So yeah. I'm sorry I cannot go through the chat, but thank you so much. I hope you got something out of it. If you can get 1 point out of it to make your coffee or tea taste better, I'm happy. And you being here for us means a lot. And thank you so much for Japan Fair, everyone from Japan Fair, to give this opportunity to introduce us to everyone here. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the timer. Thank you very much, Sarah-san. Em-san, thank you very much. Prakash-san, thank you very much. Nancy-san, thank you very much. Thomas-san, thank you very much. Shet-san, sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you very much. Catherine-san, nice seeing you. Thank you very much. Please show us your coffee kettle to do drip coffee if you have time. Sorry, I'll send it to you in the email maybe. Yeah, I don't want to go over the allowed time. Jean-san, thank you very much. Okay, I'm turning off my, we will close at 6:40. Okay, so I have 8 minutes. Is it okay if I, okay. Catherine-san said, okay. Okay, so Catherine-san said, please share the kettle, coffee kettle to do drip coffee. Okay, so this is called pour over coffee, and this is a now drip. You also have like, this type as well. And I don't, for the coffee, you would be using a gooseneck kettle. So I don't have that, but you would be going from center, go like that in a spiral and then back to the center. That's how you would be doing it with, it's called pour over coffee. And I wonder if that answered the question there. That's the information I need. The specialty kettle. Yeah, it's called gooseneck kettle. Okay, this is for, so much stuff here. Oh, here. See, this is a tea kettle. You see, this is, it pours a lot of water at the same time. This is good for French press, but for the nail drip or pour over, you would be using, I don't have it here, but you have seen the one with like a very narrow top. It's called gooseneck kettle. And the reason why it's called gooseneck kettle is because it looks like a gooseneck and it has a very small opening. that can precisely hit the coffee at the same ratio. That's what you want for the coffee, for the pour over coffee. The long thin sprout, yes, it's called gooseneck kettle, like a goose, like the bird. Yes, and the Japan Fair says, sorry, we'll close soon. Yes, thank you very much for giving this few more minutes. Yep. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining the Japan Fair. 世界をつなぐ Japan Fair.